In the kingdom of Ndoto, a land soaked in sunshine and sprawling savannas, lived Princess Layla. Known not only for her striking beauty, but also for her boundless energy and spirit, Layla was the heartbeat of her kingdom. Unlike other princesses who might spend their days in secluded gardens or quiet halls, Layla thrived amongst the vibrant life of her father's lands. She spent her days exploring the dense forests at the edge of the kingdom and splashing through the crystal-clear streams that crisscrossed the meadows. Her laughter could be heard echoing through the trees as she raced the local village children or swam in the river, her royal garments often left forgotten on the riverbank. King Tafari, Layla's father, watched his daughter with a deep affection tinted with concern. One afternoon, as Layla returned from riding one of the palace horses bareback, her hair a wild tangle of curls, King Tafari called her over. He watched her approach, her steps light and carefree, and sighed softly. "Layla," he began, his voice gentle yet firm, "you know I cherish your spirit and your love for life, but as a princess there are certain ways you must carry yourself." Layla listened, her bright eyes meeting her father's. She knew this lecture well, yet her response remained the same. With a respectful nod, she replied, "I understand, Father, but the people love me for who I am, because I share in their joys and their lives. Isn't that what a true leader should do?" Her father smiled, torn between the conventions of royalty and his deep love for his spirited daughter. "Yes, my dear, but remember, with your freedom comes responsibility. You are not just any girl, you are a princess, and one day you might be queen." Layla's gaze drifted toward the forests and rivers, her heart yearning for the freedom they offered. "I know, Father. I will try my best." With those words, she turned and ran off, her laughter floating back to her father as she joined a group of children heading towards the market. This was Layla's world, a balance of royal duties and the unrestrained joy of living among her people. She was beloved not just for her lineage, but for her genuine warmth and the fearless way she embraced life. In her, the people of Ndoto saw not just a princess, but one of their own. A leader who loved her kingdom's every rock, river, and tree as much as they did. As the years passed, Princess Layla's connection with her kingdom and its people only deepened. She grew into a young woman whose beauty was matched by her wisdom and compassion. Her adventures became the stuff of local legend, stories told and retold at every gathering across Ndoto. Despite her father's gentle reminders, Layla never quite outgrew her free-spirited nature, but she did learn to weave her duties as a princess more seamlessly into her life of exploration and play. The Festival of Hearts was a yearly highlight in Ndoto, a grand celebration marking the end of the harvest and the strength of the community. This year was particularly special, as it was Layla's 18th birthday, and the festival was to be a magnificent affair. The entire kingdom buzzed with preparations, and from far and wide people came to partake in the festivities, eager to catch a glimpse of their beloved princess. King Tafari took this opportunity to introduce a new tradition at the festival, one that would perhaps gently steer Layla towards considering her future responsibilities as queen. During a quiet moment before the festivities began, he sat with Layla on the balcony overlooking the palace grounds, now bustling with decorators and musicians. "Layla, this festival, while a celebration of our kingdom's heart and soul, could also be a chance for you to meet suitors," the king suggested, watching her closely for her reaction. Layla, who was more interested in the arrival of a troupe of dancers from a distant village, sighed softly. "Father, must we talk of suitors now? I love the festival for its joy and unity. Can it just be about that?" King Tafari smiled, understanding her reluctance. "It can and it will. But you are loved not only as a princess, but as the future leader of Ndoto. It's time to think about what kind of king might one day rule beside you." Realizing the weight of her father's words, Layla nodded, her eyes scanning the lively scene below. "All right, Father, Let's then say that any suitor who wishes to claim my attention must first show they understand what the Heart of Ndoto truly means. To love and serve this land as I do. Pleased with her thoughtful response, King Tafari agreed. Very well, Layla, let that be your challenge. The Festival of Hearts began with the rising of the full moon, casting a silvery glow over the decorated square. Layla, dressed in a vibrant gown that mirrored the colors of the savannah sunset, stood beside her father as they addressed the gathered crowd. To all who have come to celebrate with us, Layla announced, her voice steady and clear, this year I pose a challenge. The Heart of Ndoto, a mythical gem said to be hidden within the Forbidden Forest, symbolizes the courage and spirit of our people. Whoever seeks my hand must first find this gem and bring it back. But know this, it is not just a test of bravery, but of understanding and respecting the soul of our kingdom. The crowd erupted in cheers, some thrilled by the romantic challenge, others skeptical of the legend. Among the suitors was Prince Darien from the neighboring kingdom of Zalika, a warrior known for his prowess and ambition. Clad in finely crafted armor, Darien was confident, viewing the challenge as another battle to be won. I will retrieve this gem and return victorious, he declared, his voice ringing with confidence. For who could better protect and lead Ndoto than a proven warrior like myself? Amid the bustling crowd, unnoticed by the nobles and royals, wandered a figure known to the villagers simply as the madman. His clothes were tattered, his hair unkempt, and he was often seen speaking to himself or laughing at the wind. As Layla spoke of the Heart of Ndoto, he paused in his wanderings, something in her words reaching deep into the recesses of his clouded mind. Though none knew his origins or his story that day, he too felt the call of the forest. As the suitors entered the thick and mysterious Forbidden Forest, the cheerful mood from the festival turned serious. The forest, old and vast, felt like it was watching and judging the hearts of those bold enough to step into its shadows. The path, which started off clear and welcoming, quickly twisted into a maze of trees covered in moss and tangling vines, making the quest a real test of bravery and cleverness. Prince Darien, leading his best men, pushed forward with fierce determination. Armed with swords and shields, they hacked through the dense undergrowth and made their own paths where none existed. Darien drove his group hard, keeping up the pace despite the increasing challenges of the rough terrain. They faced hidden traps and sudden deep ravines that tested their strength and willpower. Darien faced each challenge head-on, always focused on the prize he imagined ahead. At the same time, the madman, still unknown to everyone, moved through the forest in a strangely graceful way that didn't match his usual confused behavior. Unlike the armored suitors who used force, he seemed to understand the forest's challenges instinctively, avoiding dangers that caught others. He murmured to himself, or maybe to the forest, his words sounding like nonsense to anyone else but strangely fitting with the sounds of the rustling leaves and hidden animals. As the day went on, some of the less determined suitors started to give up and turn back, overwhelmed not just by one obstacle, but by the heavy, daunting feel of the forest, and realizing how tough the challenge really was. The forest didn't just test their physical strength, but seemed to dig deep into their resolve and reasons for being there. As the madman wandered deeper into the heart of the Forbidden Forest, the environment around him seemed to pulse with ancient, unseen energy. He moved with a strange purpose, as though guided by an invisible thread. The shadows grew longer, and the forest's whispers turned into murmurs of an old, knowing language spoken by the leaves and wind. Meanwhile, Prince Darien and his group faced a dire challenge. They encountered a fearsome creature, half human, half beast, lying wounded by a thicket of thorn-covered vines. Its breaths were labored, and it reached out towards them with a human hand, pleading for help. Darien, ever the warrior, assessed the situation but saw only a potential threat, or at best, a distraction from his quest. "Help me," the creature rasped, its voice catching with pain. Darien hesitated, his hand on his sword. After a tense moment, he turned away, addressing his men. "We have no time for distractions. Our mission is the Heart of Ndoto. not nursing forest creatures. As they marched away, the air around them grew thick and heavy, the forest's path turning tortuous and confusing, looping them back on themselves as if in punishment for their disregard. The madman, drawn by a compulsion he couldn't explain, encountered the same wounded creature. Unlike Darien, he approached gently, driven by an innate kindness that the fog of his madness couldn't obscure. Seeing the creature in distress stirred something deeply human in him. "Let me help you," he murmured, kneeling beside it and offering water from his own supply. As he tended to its wounds, the creature's eyes watched him, luminous with unspoken gratitude. With his simple act of compassion, the atmosphere shifted. The creature began to transform before his eyes, its form shimmering and reshaping into that of a beautiful woman adorned with vines and leaves. Her appearance ethereal, almost otherworldly. She was the guardian of the forest, the keeper of its deepest secret, the Heart of Ndoto. "You have shown what few have," she said, her voice like the melody of the forest itself. "Compassion, kindness, and a respect for all life. You, who wander lost in your own mind, have found what true princes have failed to see." From the folds of her garment, she produced the Heart of Ndoto, its surface pulsing with a gentle light. Placing it in his hands, she continued, "With this, let your clarity be restored, as you have restored my faith in those who walk these woods." As he held the gem, the madman felt a clarity washing over him, the shadows of his mind pulling back to reveal the prince he once was. With newfound purpose and the Heart of Ndoto in hand, he made his way back toward Ndoto, his steps surer than they had been in years. Upon his arrival at the festival, his appearance caused a stir of disbelief and laughter. A madman, claiming to have won the princess's challenge? It seemed absurd until Layla, seeing the heart and the change in him, intervened. "Let him speak," she insisted, her curiosity piqued by the transformation she witnessed. As the crowd around the festival grounds fell into an awed silence, the man who had been known only as the madman stood before them, transformed not only by the clarity in his eyes, but also by the compelling tale he began to unfold. "My name is Prince Malo," he began, his voice steady and clear, resonating with the authority of someone who had once been groomed for leadership. "I was born in a distant kingdom to the west, a land rich in tradition and beauty. My mother was the beloved queen, but she died giving birth to me, leaving me in the care of my father and my stepmother. My father, the king, loved me deeply, seeing in me the spirit of my late mother. But this love sowed seeds of jealousy in the heart of my stepmother and my elder stepbrother. Fearing that I would be chosen over my brother to inherit the throne, they conspired against me. Under the guise of protecting me from supposed threats, my stepmother sought the service of a dark sorcerer," Prince Malo continued. "Through deceit, they led me deep into the woods near our palace, where the sorcerer cast a spell to steal my sanity, hoping my madness would disqualify me from kingship. As my mind clouded, I wandered away, lost not only from my home, but from myself. I walked for days, perhaps longer, with no sense of time or purpose, driven only by the basest needs to survive," he said. "Eventually, I crossed into Ndoto. It was here, in Ndoto, amidst your festival and the challenge issued by your gracious Princess Layla, that the remnants of my past urged me towards the forbidden forest. And there, aided by the forest's guardian, I found not only the Heart of Ndoto, but a moment of clarity sharp enough to piece together my past." Princess Layla, deeply moved, her eyes full of tears and admiration, took his hand. "Your journey speaks of a resilience and purity of heart that the legends of the Heart of Ndoto promise to reveal. You have not only found the heart, but have also reclaimed your own." The villagers, once skeptical, now erupted in applause. Their cheers not just for the return of the heart, but for the return of Prince Malo's spirit and mind. King Tafari stepped forward, his eyes brimming with respect. "Prince Malo, your story is one of true bravery and the indomitable spirit of humanity. We are honored to support you in your journey to reclaim not only your title, but your life. Plans were quickly made for Malo and a delegation from Ndoto, led by Princess Layla, to travel to his homeland. They intended to confront those who had wronged him and restore Malo to his rightful place. As they prepared for their journey, Layla and Malo spent long hours discussing their future, the responsibilities of leadership, and the deep, healing power of understanding and compassion that they hoped to embody together. Prince Malo's journey home was carefully organized, with help from both Ndoto and his loyal followers. Led by Princess Layla and Malo, the group traveled through vibrant landscapes and smaller realms, drawing nearer to Malo's homeland with every step. As they reached the borders marked by rolling hills and dense forests, the anticipation grew, mixed with uncertainty about their welcome. To their relief, they were greeted with joy and surprise, rather than hostility. The news of Malo's return had ignited the hope of the people who lined the streets, cheering and showering him with flowers. The sight of familiar faces and the warm reception brought tears to Malo's eyes. The emotional reunion continued at the palace, where Malo's aged father, weakened by years of sorrow and deceit from his second wife and her son, received them with mixed feelings of joy and apprehension. Malo and Layla shared their ordeal and Malo's triumphant recovery of the Heart of Ndoto. Overwhelmed, the king wept, regretting his son's suffering. However, tension brewed as the stepmother and her son faced the consequences of their actions. During a charged council meeting, Malo accused them of their betrayal. Despite their attempts to deny the accusations, the overwhelming evidence and witness testimonies led to their downfall. The king, finally aware of their treachery, stripped them of their titles and banished them from the kingdom. With peace restored, Malo and Layla focused on rebuilding and planning their future together. Their wedding, set in the palace gardens, celebrated their love and marked the beginning of a united rule. Malo's kingdom and Ndoto thrived under their leadership, guided by wisdom, compassion, and a commitment to healing and unity.